Good evening. We'll call the monthly meeting of the Board of Education to order. And as the board looks over the agenda, I ask for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries and the agenda will be followed. We will stand with me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you'll remain standing with me, we'll go to the Lord in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, as we bow before you this evening, we are grateful for what you have done for us. We are so grateful as we were able to celebrate the accomplishments of our senior class, for all the work that went into making the preparations for that, being able to adapt and to step outside the box. We're grateful for the community support, the parade, and those who came out to encourage and to cheer on. And we ask that as our seniors now step into the next steps, whether it be that they go to work or to continue their education, Father, either way, every day is a learning experience, and learning is a lifelong event. We pray that you would strengthen and encourage them. And this evening, as we gather here, we ask that you would lead us as we strive to create the most environment that is encouraging, environment that is safe, an environment that allows our young people just to truly grow and to develop. We certainly ask you to be with our young people over the course of the summer break and their families. Father, as we adapt to the changes that we're looking toward. Father, this I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. Remind the board of the ethics statement. And just draw your attention to that. If anyone has a conflict of interest with anything in the agenda, please bring to the board's attention at this time. If not, I will just double check, make sure we don't have any public input, nobody has called in. We'll move on to our superintendent's report. Recognize Mr. Scott.
Ms. Kim Green, she will give you an update on hearing alternatives.
It's interesting. So with day treatment, what we did, we had 10 kids total before the school was released. At that time, there were several kids that had in-home services as well as were in therapy foster parent out homes, whatever. And so we ended up with 7 kids total. Of course, day treatment was dissolved, and because per the service definition and DHHS, that can only be provided inside the schools. And so we moved those kids because we want to make sure they continue to have mental health services, move those children into intensive in-home. And so we've been providing these families and these children mental health services through Zoom and also naked home visits pretty much, which has been extremely difficult to say the least, because you're no longer teaching them more about school behaviors, you're now teaching them about how to connect with families, so forth and so on, which every child in our classroom absolutely needed intensive at home anyway. So as far as services go, it actually worked out better. Now, as far as day treatment goes, intensive at home will dissolve as soon as school starts back up, depending on what decision y'all make. And I know that the finalized plan will not be out until July, so we won't know what's happening with day treatment. But as far as that goes, those children will have, we had 2 kids that were in the process of transitioning. And so if we come back to school, the plan is we'll still have the 7 children. 2 of them, we will go with the schools. We have 1 at Harris and 1 at Deaton that are looking at transferring or transitioning, and so we will actually be with them. They will not come to our classroom. In addition to that, We will have, so total, we'll have 7 kids starting out. We have, my plan is, okay, so there's a new service out. It's OPT Plus, it's Outpatient Therapy Plus. Okay, so the plus is that a case manager will be provided with that therapist. So for school-based therapy, we'll have a school-based therapist plus a case manager, which is absolutely needed for all types of reasons. And y'all know that, working in the school so forth and so on. So that'll put us a little bit different than the other providers that are providing school-based, okay? Which is a good thing. I'm pretty excited about that piece of it. So hopefully we'll be covering, as far as school-based plus, we'll be covering, the schools we'll have covered will continue to be the high school, Harris, Deaton, and then Greenlee. So we've got that part, and so we're going to be looking at also hiring another therapist if we can find one. That's the issue for this side of the county. Of course, once the school's built and everything else, things will be much easier. That's on down the road. So that's kind of where we're at with things. We would like to eventually venture out, and it has nothing to do with schools, but venture out and make other services for the community. But right now, that's our plan for the schools. Questions or?
Kim, just doing the home business, I know that has been challenging.
It's been interesting.
With this, just from your perspective, pros, cons, good, bad, how is that?
I'm telling you, we're going to have the school system and day treatment are going to have their hands full because these kids have regressed so much. I mean, it's a nightmare. I mean, we've talked about it, and I can only imagine because we have, not only do we have connections like with when you go to the home, not just with the family, but you've got connections with neighborhood kids too, and you see them out there playing, and you see them. I mean, in the education piece, the parents were struggling over that whole piece. So educationally and, physically and mentally, it's going to be rough when we get back.
In so many of the situations, the structure has been lost over the past few months.
Yes.
And reinforcing that, I know.
The structure, the stress of having the kids in the home, the, just not, like we try to go in and put a structure in the home, but the majority of the families we're dealing with don't follow through with anything. That's the reason we're dealing with the kids, And so, but even in my home, like it was hard with my children to, they're on different schedules. Like they want to stay up till 2:00 in the morning and, get up at 11. I'm like, no, we can't do that, So it's been hard even in my home. And I can only imagine, across the county what this has been like. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting when we come back. And see, in our classroom, I'll give you one particular child. Day treatment, and this is something I never do. We never send kids home. This kid was literally beating up my staff and the other kids in the classroom on a daily basis. And she's a little kindergartner, okay? And she is like tough as nails. We limited her down to 3 hours. Well, we go into the home, and she's doing the same thing in the home, and mom's trying, but and now she's regressed her behaviors even more. So I can't even imagine what that's going to be like. I mean, truthfully, she probably needs a higher level of treatment, but she's so little, you hate to do that.
What causes the child having
It's trauma. It's absolutely trauma. Yeah. Well, for her, it's trauma and, it's multiple traumas, and so, yeah, that's what's going on with her. And so with a child that small trying to reach, figure out what are all the traumas that's happened in her life has been difficult too, because she doesn't understand, time frame. She doesn't understand, this is wrong, this is right, not yet, So it's difficult with a child that small. Yeah, unfortunately, but it's going to be interesting.
Well, and from a mental health perspective, the fear from all of the news media, the community conversations around our young people, about COVID and that challenge of coming back to school. And
Yes, that's gonna be, I mean, you know, I've heard parents say, you know, we're not gonna send them, or, you know, we're gonna do homeschool, or, I mean, I've got a family right now who, the child has diabetes, and so that's the one we've been doing the telehealth with, and, it's been very hard to do mental health treatment through that, you know, that portal, because we can't go into the home because he's high risk, you know. So I don't know, it's gonna be interesting to see. It's gonna be definitely, a lot of hard work on y'all's end, you know, and the school staff and everything, trying to figure out this piece. And then, you know, in our classroom, just the thought of wearing masks, honestly, is a joke. I mean, because these kids, they don't even listen to the basic thing saying, sit down, you know, and so it's just not gonna happen, but, you know, we're gonna try. That's all I can say, we'll just try.
Kim, I feel like there's such a need for just more than just the kids that you all are touching. I just don't know how we address,
Well,
it's many different levels.
it's so many layers, it is. And honestly, I know that, you know, we talked about, whenever Karen Alternatives first came in, we had talked about, the possibility of doing in-home. So there's an opportunity that this has brought on, an opportunity that a Karen Alternative may be extending, and maybe we're in the talks, so we don't know, looking for an office here. And, you know, I would prefer to have it strictly just children's services, because that's my specialty, you know. But I think Bio wants adult services too, because I don't think the RHA is panning out, you know. And so, with that being said, you know, so I'm hoping there'll be more opportunities, and I'm really excited about the OTP Plus, because I really feel like that. One example, a kid at the high school, and I know Justin's aware of this, and Chad and whoever, but made a threat last year, and our therapist was the therapist, you know, involved, and it would have been really, really nice if that therapist had a caseworker to help her with things, because that allows wrapping, where we can get this service, and we can get, you know, these providers involved, and making sure that, you know, our kids have food, and making sure, because a therapist doesn't have time to do all that. And so I'm really excited about that service. And I'm really hoping that we can get at least, you know, 1 to 2 more therapists to be able to provide that. So I don't know. If I was doing like legwork stuff, that's what I would want to be doing.
Where does that money come
Medicaid, and so you're looking at basic all insurances, and so be looking at private pay plus Medicaid and NC Health Choice. Now, day treatment's only. I think we had talked about doing one pro bono slot, but day treatment is basically, because it's an enhanced service, meaning that you've got basic services here, which is outpatient, and then you've got the more enhanced services, and then you've got facility services. And so day treatment is considered an enhanced service, intensive in-home enhanced service. Those services, if they don't get better during those services, then we have to look at a higher level, which is like therapy of foster care, level 3, or even hospitalization, you know. And so all of that, the enhanced services and going up are usually Medicaid, NC Health Choice, because private pay just doesn't pay it unless there's a whole huge amount of paperwork for it. Most people don't know how to navigate through that.
So you got therapists at the high school, Harris, Greenlee, and
Deaton, like this end of the county is covered. We got to work on that end, basically. And like I said, it's going to be a challenge. It's always been a challenge to have therapists in this area for some reason.
And those, who are those?
Susan Lamont and Amy Jolly. And Susan's also doing day treatment at Greenlee too. So she's doing outpatient and at Deaton and at Greenlee. The main reason is because when those kids transition out of day treatment, we want them to have the same therapist, because they, you know, and so she's not only seeing those kids, but she's seeing all the other kids in the schools
But who pays her?
Same people, or the insurances, insurance pay everything. Because all mental health is kind of like going to your doctor. We're all private, facilities. We're not run by the state. And so it's the exact same thing. Yeah. So. Any other questions?
As far as I don't think you were on here when this started, I don't believe, was you?
No, that's why I was asking.
So the county commissioners funded the startup for a caring alternative, and after they got one, they're billing with the insurance is what they do.
Okay,
Basically, we as a school system provide them a space, and
I see,
And
okay.
thanks.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't realize you didn't know any of that.
I'm sorry. I'm catching up.
You're good. Yeah.
Well, either is.
So basically, yeah, they provide the space and then, because the day treatment service is just strictly for children who are in classrooms that cannot be maintained in a regular school setting. And so our job is to go in, teach them behaviorally how to be able to function in a regular school setting. And that's due to mental health issues as well, like trauma, whatever. And so we're also addressing that, but we also do behavioral interventions as well. And so they get a small part of education and then a main part of behavioral interventions and therapy, if that makes sense.
we basically provide space. I think we do that a high EC teacher. High EC teacher.
Which truthfully, I learned last year, oh my goodness. We had 11 kids and there was no way, like Mr. Hall and I had numerous conversations. I was like, and that's something that we'll have to talk about, but a half of EC teacher does not get what those kids need educationally. For 11 kids. Now for 7, starting out it'll probably be okay, but it was rough in that education class. And I know that there was also another one, like a part-time helper that also came in and helped with that. So that was very good when we were able to do education piece more effectively. Because you got kids that just won't sit down, like they won't pay attention. They've got a attention span of like 5 minutes and they're done. And so you have to be very creative with that. My understanding is we're fixing to have that EC teacher left, went to Avery, and y'all are looking at a new EC person for that. So,
Thank you.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Item B, Mr. Pittman, is the board meeting calendar for next year. Let y'all take a look at that if you don't mind. And we went with if you're gonna give me access, I can get access to my own calendar.
You must be a security.
I can find it.
I've got here if you want.
So we went with the second Thursday, except for a couple of times on there, it was around the holiday. We made it the third week. I don't know if the third week causes John any issues. I know some counties do meet on the third Thursday. I don't know if you were assigned to that or not, so we might need some adjustment on that, or you can look at your calendar. I sent it to you earlier, and sent it to Paula too.
You did, we got it, and let me check that. Is that, which one is it? The 19th of November.
19th of November. Was that December?
I think maybe the August one was too, because I think the August, the first one, Thursday, around the first or something like that, so we moved it right before school starts. I think the August and the November.
November is for sure fine.
And then maybe the November one, just figure it.
And your 13th August is fine.
Okay.
November 19th is pretty close to Thanksgiving, so I'll be getting my job, loosened up.
And, you know, we can change this, it's just the end of the calendars.
You have a
Approve that, that's okay with you all. 5:30 still okay, and is that time? Will be earlier, will be later?
Whatever.
about 30 works best for me, these.
We need to all here next year. We try to rotate year by year, like one year we'll have them all here, the next year we'll meet in the schools, and the next year all here, try to rotate back.
And just, with that, maybe I heard everything, but we sort of got cut out for a couple of schools because of COVID this year, and getting to make those sites. Seeing how things open up later in the fall or spring, we may, if we have opportunity to revisit those and maybe that location to do that. Sure. I think it's something we talked about. Have a motion to approve the board meeting calendar 2020, 2021.
So moved.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
We'll ask Ms. Johnson to post that on our website, and we'll put paper copies here. Next item is item C, is what you approved last month, except I didn't catch, and Michelle, I can't believe you didn't catch, I had 2 December 31st last month. So I had to make a little adjustment there, I had 2 annual leave days, so it actually saved us an annual leave day to put it in. So it's just technical adjustments, it's not really a major calendar change, it's just a technical adjustment. Or I guess I was going to have yours either twice. This year, so.
Maybe 2021 can be better than 2020.
I'm surprised nobody caught that, so, and I see who caught it, the data managers were working on their calendars for Power School, my wife caught it, so. You know, so that's
You've already had a hard time with that.
yeah, that's just a technical adjustment, so I just asked the board to approve this. It's the same calendar, just correcting the date on it.
Move to approve the updated school calendar.
Have a second,
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
We'll ask Ms. Johnson to put those 2 on the website also, and then we'll post those 2 and send one in the newspaper. So people will know when school is starting next year. Item D is I'll give the board an update on reopening of schools. I know that's a topic that parents and community is very interested in. It's a topic we're very interested in. And we were told on June 3rd that we would get the guidance from the governor. We were all excited on June 3rd, and it didn't come down. We delayed it a week to June 10th. Then on Monday, DHHS came out with, and I sent this to the board, came out with what's called Strong Schools North Carolina Public Health Toolkit K-12, and released it on Monday, and then like an hour later released it to the public. And then on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, DPI released their version of reopening schools, working with DHHS and working with the governor. And we had a webinar on it Wednesday, and it's a 113-page document. And to be honest, you know, I've read it through a couple times, not all at one time, trying to figure out, trying to decipher, trying to come up with an idea. But I'll sort of give you a synopsis of what it is. The governor and North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services came up with Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. And they have guidelines for Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. And they've asked the school systems to develop a plan by July the 20th for Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C. So we're gonna have a Plan A plan, a Plan B plan, a Plan C plan following the governor's guidelines. We will not get to decide what plan we're on. That will come from the governor and North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. I've heard, and I think Mr. Henning has heard saying that we will know sometime around the 1st of July what the governor is thinking for the start of school, what plans are. Now, I've heard two different things. What I heard on the webinar was that counties could and very well may be very different. You might have Charlotte Meck might be on Plan C, and Mitchell County might be on Plan A, depending on COVID-19 numbers. I assume it's depending on COVID-19 numbers. We don't know what the rubric that the governor and the Health and Human Services are using. We don't know what that rubric is, but they will tell us. We can't decide, Mitchell County's on Plan A, Mitchell County's on Plan B, Mitchell County's on Plan C. We can't make that decision. They will tell us where we're at. That can change from what we gathered throughout the year. If it spikes in Mitchell County, if it spikes in the state, we could be moved from a plan to a plan to a plan. So that's why they want us to have 3 plans in place. Plan A is what I prefer. It's the closest to what I prefer. What I prefer is be back normal, have all kids in school and forget this. It's what I prefer. And if honestly, if they'd let us plan Plan A, I think we could make it work very well. We've got some good ideas ourselves, but it's unfortunately we have to go by what they give us. I'm hoping they'll allow us some tweaks locally where we can make this thing work. Plan A is more like, it's not exactly, but it's more like what we were when we dismissed school, where everyone was back in school. We were trying to keep them safe with all the cleaning practices in place. Plus, they've added a few things like every kid, even in Plan A, has to be screened before they come into the school building.
Every day.
Every day. And you would have to have someone, and that preferably would be a school nurse, but you all know as well as I do, we have 7 schools and 3 school nurses, so that wouldn't work. So I don't know if there's going to be more funding coming for school nurses, or we're expecting to have volunteer nurses, or we're expecting to train people to do the screening, but hopefully we'll get more guidance on that. But I've been a principal, I've been a teacher, and I'm more of a visual person, so I'm trying to visualize this. And I go back to my Harris days, and I'm trying to visualize how that would happen at Harris. Yeah, on a nice, pretty sunny day, you could probably make that work very easily. You could pull one by the side, unload them slowly at a time, screen, let them come in the building, go to their home room. But when it's 15 degrees outside and the wind's blowing 50 miles per hour, I don't see how you can make that work. You don't want those kids standing out that cold. You don't want them out there getting cold or raining sideways like it does sometimes. So I can't see it working on those days. So I'm hoping that they'll give us some leeway, especially on those days, that at least we can come in the gym and scream there or do something a little different. But it does right now, it does say before they enter the building. There are 3 questions that I know of that they have to be asked. Have you been around, first of all, do you have a fever? You have been around someone with a fever, been around someone sick with COVID-19. That has to be asked on a daily basis. And then we have to take their temperature on a daily basis. So that not only happens at school, but it also has to happen as they get on the bus. And I've driven a bus, so I put myself in a bus driver's situation too. And I'm trying to think now, how is a bus driver that's sitting on a very narrow road in a popular community and waiting on kids to load the bus, how are they going to take their temperature, screen them, keep them 6 feet apart, and get them on the bus, and still drive the bus and keep the kids safe? So that's a lot of responsibility to put on one driver. And these kids, what if they do have a temperature? How do you get the kid back in the house? Because not all houses are within sight of the bus stop. You've got kids, I know, some kids walk half a mile, 3/4 of a mile to their bus stop, and this kid has a temperature. It's a second grader. Sure, not going to leave them standing there on the side of the road. You're not going to send them back up the road without seeing the parents. And in most of these communities, you don't have cell phone service to stop and call the parent, or maybe the parents went on to work. So there's lots of questions that I need answered because I try to put myself in everybody's shoes. Yeah, we do want our kids to be safe, but we want them to have an education also. We want to do it safe, have a safe educational opportunity. If they left it up to us, what we would do, we would like to offer, and I've talked to John about this, we'd like to offer remote education for those who want it to be remote. But we'd also like to open our schools to everybody that wanted to come to school and run two simultaneously. So for those parents that were scared or, worried or have compromised children that wanted them to receive remote education, was to create a Mitchell County remote school for those kids and dedicate those teachers and a principal to that school and teach those kids remotely. And then have principal and teachers to come into the school. That would depend on how many parents would want that to happen. Let's say if 100 wanted that to happen, we could make it happen. Or 200, we could make it happen. But if only 10 wanted that, that would be very difficult in Mitchell County. So if they let us do that, I think we could handle that. But then you think about, do you put a helper on the bus? Well, that's someone's salary. And right now, we couldn't afford other money to put a helper on every bus. Danny just looked at that, and you're probably talking right around $300,000 per year to put a helper on every bus. So we've been looking at some devices. There is a device that's called Kiosk. It screens you in just about a second. You put your face up to, it's like an iPad. They make them for the buses. And it tells you your temperature just like that. Or you can set the temperature like, I think 100.4 is the cutoff the state says. So you set it on that. If it's green, you get on the bus, it's red, and you probably want to manually take their temperature to see if they do have a temperature. So that's a way of screening. That would cost us about $80,000 to put one of those on the bus, which is much cheaper than the $300,000. So that's something we'll look at and bring to this board if that's something that keep as a requirement. So there's lots. I'd love to be able to look at you. I'd love to be able to look at the parents and say, this is the way it's going to be next year. But I don't know myself, just to be honest with you. I've read through these plans. We're trying to come up with a plan for Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, and submit it to the state for approval. But we don't know what plan we're going to be on August 17th. So the governor can come in and say, well, Mitchell County's on Plan B. 50% of the kids come to school, 50% don't. Now, I have a question about that because it says, technically, it says 50% occupancy. It doesn't say 50% of your kids. Am I correct, John? It
So it
says
says maximum
50%
occupancy.
occupancy. Well, you think of Mitchell High School. When I went to Mitchell High School, there were over 1,000 students there. I'm sure the occupancy is much higher than 1,000. I guess we'd have to get with our building inspector to figure that out. But now we only have 500 kids, so we're already at 50% occupancy at Mitchell High School. So we may be okay at the high school level because the high school is big enough. And
1,200.
Yep.
So
So we may be fine there. But now some schools would concern me. I don't know how it would be Greenlee. I know Greenlee was built big. We may be fine at Greenlee. I'd worry about Gooch. I would worry about Deacon. Definitely. And Bowman would probably be, I don't know what the occupancy is there. And we would, I'm assuming, building inspector Kathy, you think that's who would have that number?
it's the combination of EM and the building.
Okay.
Because they've got a notice in our building about the occupancy.
I've seen it like at our gyms and our auditoriums, but I've never seen it posted like for a classroom. So I don't know if that's something we have to ask for or what, but we will. I mean, I will call Tom tomorrow and see if he'll direct me in the right direction to get that number. But we may be okay at some of our schools. I think we'll be okay at Harris. I know we'll be okay at Mitchell. I definitely think we'll be okay at Greenlee. The other 4 schools are working. But then I put myself again, I've been a parent too. So I put myself in the parent shoes. I had 2 children that were 4 years apart. Most of the time they were in different schools. Okay, then you would have to plan for that parent, if you could even make it work for the parent. If you went alternate days or alternate weeks, then siblings would have to go on the same day. But I still don't see how that would work for a parent who works. At the time my children were young, my parents worked, Lisa's parents worked. We wouldn't have had anybody for them to stay with on those days that they weren't. I know that would be very difficult for parents, and I just can't see how that would work for parents. And I kind of put myself in everybody's shoes. But we want to do what's best for kids. That's my goal, is to do whatever's best for kids, but you also have to help the parents out too. Because you don't want to put them in a situation where they're having to choose, do I stay home and take care of my child, or do I go to work? You have to go to work, you have to put food on the table. So, or leave them by themselves, which is not good either. So we're trying to think of all scenarios and possibilities. And to me, the A, B, and C, A being everybody back in school, C all remote, B is the most difficult for Mitchell County. And also in B's plan, it says you have to maintain 6 feet distance apart at all times. And that even includes on the buses, which is a nightmare within itself. We have 55 passenger. When I say 55 passenger, that's elementary kids. If it's middle school and high school, we drop down to 32 in the 20s for high school kids. That's the biggest buses we can turn around on Mitchell County roads. We can't have a 70 or 80 or 90 passenger bus on Mitchell County. So technically, if you look at that, you could only, if you have to go by those governor's guidelines of 6 feet, you could only get 9 kids on a bus, which is not economical. And if you look at the routes, I did have a lady, because I was arguing with them a little bit. I was arguing with them a lot. And we were talking about Mitchell County. In fact, our bus rides, you got a 2 hour, 2.5 hour bus ride. It don't matter how many, if there's 55 kids on that bus, or if you've got 9 kids on that bus, you still have to drive to Poplar. It's still a drive to Poplar, and you don't drive 55 miles per hour to Poplar. Some people might, but you go on the bus. Most areas, you don't want to drive that you can't drive that fast on the bus. So it takes time. So you couldn't run multiple routes to Poplar. And then the lady had said back to me, well, why don't you do remote education in your high school, or use your high school buses to distribute your middle and elementary schools? We share buses. All of our kids ride elementary, middle, and high school ride the same bus. So that wouldn't work. Then she said, well, why don't you ask your parents to bring them to school, pick them up? A lot of parents, I'm sure, would do that. They would bring them to school, but they would have a very difficult time picking them up. We could start early enough where they could bring them before they had to go to work, but it'd be very difficult because most people work 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. They couldn't come and pick them up. So you couldn't ask the parents to do that. Then you have all those kids there in your building in the afternoons, and you can only put 9 on a bus at a time. How would you ever get them home? So you'd be midnight trying to get the kids home, which would be impossible. So there's lots of things to think about. And of course, Plan C was all remote, which we did this spring. And I felt like we did a good job of that. But it's not for every kid. It's not for, to be honest, it's not for the majority of kids. There's a few kids that excel. There's several that excel, not the majority. But there's lots that need that ENC, back in school, face-to-face with the teacher. But they have to have that, just for the social aspect and just the mentality of it. I said when I went to the high school graduation at the Buccaneer Crest, and I got to talk to the juniors before the seniors came. Man, it was like being at a party, just to get to see them. I haven't seen the kids, and didn't realize, I didn't miss them. I knew I missed them, but didn't realize how much I missed them until I see them. It was just like, I couldn't wait to walk up there where all the juniors were getting ready for the marshals to get to talk to them. Because you miss the kids as an educator. It's not education without the kids being in your building. So there's lots, and I'll be glad to share this 114-page document with you to read through, and we're reading through it. There's things that are requirements, there's things that are recommendations, there's things that are requirements, there's things that are strongly recommended, then there's things that are recommended. The requirements are going to be difficult enough. Just looking just at the requirements alone, in my opinion, that's going to be difficult enough to find someone to screen that paperwork, the attestation statements that have to be signed by parents. We thought originally, which makes no sense, that you had to have them on a daily basis. But DPI sort of told us you had to have them out every 2 weeks, which makes no sense either, because you don't get sick every 2 weeks, you get sick somewhere in between. I mean, you don't plan on being sick 2 weeks later, so that makes no sense to me, so.
But just the logistics of these drop-off lines and the
Yeah.
parents dropping those kids up, I mean, it makes it a week, each of our schools.
I wish they would put it in our hands and trust us and let us make the decision of how to bring our kids back to school safe, but also give those kids that are compromised or don't want to come back to school, give them an opportunity to do them both, give them both choices, and do the safe things in school and keep them safe. If they just let us do that, we would be fine, instead of us having to follow all these requirements in here, because a lot of these are costs. And it's so funny, you wonder how these vendors know before we do, because I started getting all these emails about all these things. Now I look back at the emails, things they were selling, they're like, oh, that's why they were selling them. There's a requirement, there's a requirement, there's a requirement. It makes you wonder about who's getting money and when and where, because there's all these vendors are sitting trying to sell me stuff, and then I'm like, why would I want to buy that? You know, why would I want to buy a device that screens the temperature when they walk through the door? Well, now I know why. Because you're going to have someone to do that. So, and I was getting that 2 weeks before the document was released. So, and it's either a good guess or they knew something before we did one.
Is
So
there
that's,
already a sketchy A, B, and C plan somewhere that you're drawing from? Or have you, is that what you're saying?
It has to be individualized to your county.
But there's some guidelines?
Yeah, it's just like the lady said, and she used Mitchell County as an example. You know, Charlotte Max is very different than Mitchell County. Yes, it is. So you can't just say, I'm going to steal Charlotte Max plan. It has to be individualized to Mitchell County, because, you know, there are some systems that have elementary buses and middle school buses and high school buses, and they don't travel over 5 miles, and they have interstates or roads you can run 50 to 45 miles per hour on where the speed limit is there. But we don't have that, so it has to be tailored to us. So that's what we're starting to work on, is those plans. I'd really like to know what the governor is thinking for Mitchell County, because that would be the first plan we would focus on. Because I'd like to get that out to parents to let them know, you know, this is what we want to do. I promise this board, we will do what's best for kids, and within that, try to do what's best for parents too, within these guidelines. And hopefully they'll change. I know there were 100, well, there's 115 superintendents, and the webinar was supposed to be for superintendents only, and there was 356 people on the call. So I'm wondering who all's on the call.
Look at those fingers.
But there were a lot of upset superintendents on there, and they cut it off. We went an hour, let's cut it off. When the questions really started getting heated, I was getting my typing up, but you can't talk on there. They don't let you talk, they let you do a chat feature, which I hate, because I'm trying to type real fast to express my problems that I have with their plan. And I'm trying to get my paragraphs typed and sent to them, and then they cut us off. So I did get a couple things in that I want to say about Mitchell County.
Tim, did you break your caps lock key?
I probably did. An explanation mark. So.
And I think it's a hanging crown, the way that they're doing, and I agree with you on that right there. I mean, you look at Mitchell County, we've got what, 13 cases of this COPD, okay? You come into the fall and the winter time, okay? And the early fall or a little bit later on, you get your flu shots. Okay, in the winter time, there's rampant flu in the school system. You know, you even come close to shutting down the doggone school just because of flu. You know what I'm saying? But each, or the other superintendents, just like you said, some places with higher populations and stuff like that, you know, they are going to have more cases and stuff like that. But okay, once it comes up, you know, Trump's come back, and I've been reading on that right there. That, whatchamacallit, chlorine is going to be approved by the FDA as a cure for this one of them. And then there's going to be therapeutics too, that he said in addition to that. Well, if they come up, say for example, they come up with a vaccine, John, so forth. Is he gonna do like Chad said, is he gonna say, well, everybody's gonna be vaccinated, including the school board members, I mean, it's not mandatory or whatever, but, you know, we found out that this vaccine is like polio vaccine. And nobody's forcing you to get it or anything like that. But with 13 cases, I'm like Chad, if they would only reason and let each county do what they need to do and keep records, and instead of all this other stuff right here, you could do it in about maybe 2 pages. I mean, you could have school, it frustrates me from the standpoint, okay, we're gonna start school, Chad said, we're gonna start school for everybody here. Okay, say you have a couple of cases, well, you have a couple of cases, you take them out of school, you let them stay at home for 14 days. You don't have to close your schools. I mean, it's just so daggone stupid. And I'm not speaking from my own behalf, but y'all know as well as I do. And the doggone administrative, delivering the lunches and stuff like that, and what they've been doing to teachers and stuff like that, it's like old Casey there. Every time I see her, and I ask her, I said, how you doing? Hanging in there. But it's just been, been blown out on the dadgum limb. I mean, they can't even, it's gonna be if we're doing all this testing and everything right there. And you need,
Like, you're not going to stand center teachers, or administrators have enough on their plate when the school day begins.
yeah,
You're chasing wildfires that pop up and little quarrels that happen on the bus ride to school, and then you're trying to deal with temperature checks and everything else.
and Chad's talking about all the superintendent's been upset. I don't blame him, I'd be upset too. I think I ought to get together and
We were thinking, and Kim Hodgson had a great point, when you're thinking about that screening, just the 3 questions. When you're asking the kid 3 questions to answer, in my opinion, you're talking a minimum of 30 seconds to get an answer back from each question. You go to Coppin or Kids Mitchell High School, that's 250 minutes if you have 1 person doing it. I mean, if you have 2 people doing it, it's 125 minutes, that's 2 hours.
But how many kids gonna play with those answers too and see what they can twist it around?
And
Well,
one of the
somebody out here.
one of the guidelines was if you develop a new symptom, then you'll be asked to be out of school for 10 days. And I sort of joked, I said, well, first day of deer season, I'm out for 10 days. I would do that as a high school kid, I would do that. Get one.
the reason, that we don't have any 13 in our county is because when somebody gets sick, if they say, okay, there's 1 more case, it's somebody went somewhere.
But now another side, Sam, I do see, I'd like as Mitchell County Schools, I'd like to be able to offer parents, because I trust the parents.
Yeah.
I'd like to offer parents the choice of either sending their kid back to school or doing remote education. And the reason being, yeah, we have 13 cases, but we have some vulnerable kids too.
We do.
One child's dead, it's too many.
Yeah.
So we can offer a choice, not make everybody come back to school that didn't want to. You prefer the kids go back to school, but give parents that choice because they know their children better than we do. They know that their child's a severe asthmatic, they're diabetic, or those that are high risk. Give them an opportunity and give them a top-notch remote program for those children that want to choose that. Give them a choice. And we can make that work and not force those kids to come back to school, but yet open our schools up for those that did want to come back to school.
But we let you work with the health department to help those parents make those decisions and feel comfortable with the route, whichever route they choose.
Yeah, like I said, I do trust the parents, and I think they're very smart on making that decision for their own child, and just giving the parent the choice, to us providing the choices for the parents. And I don't see that in this plan. I see a plan A, everybody back, John, you can correct me wrong, I don't see in there a choice that we can offer remote unless we create our own remote school, which John's looking into for us. And you got Plan B with 50% occupancy, but you could make that work in there. And then Plan C all remote, which I just don't, that's just not for some kids.
But even at that 50% occupancy, you still have to maintain 6 foot
You do,
distance, so even classroom.
that's.
Transportation is
Yeah.
I think they
I
look
don't see
at
the
our percentages of our population and percentage of cases that we have, and have that be the determining factor on the plan that we have to work within.
And John had even mentioned too, us looking at maybe partnering up with, our neighboring county to see if we didn't have enough kids that wanted to do remote, maybe offering in a remote school with maybe Avery, Mitchell, Yancey, Madison, whoever wants to join us. And good quality teachers that are good remote ed teachers, teaching those kids, the parents that want them to be remote. And give them that opportunity.
The only thing I'm saying, and I always have to get into details, blow things out, and I mean, it takes me 15 minutes to say something. Most of y'all said 30 seconds. But my point is, why they won't give the responsibility to each school, why they won't give it to Chad and the administration, go forward with it and see what their own plans do. Let you make up your own plan.
And actually, this board will have to approve those 3 plans
But why do they have
before we
to?
submit them to the state.
And it's always been that way. That's a blame form of communism or socialism, I'm sure. But if they would let y'all, do, this Mitchell County is a very careful county. Or they'd have a lot more cases. You're very careful with the students. You love the students, the people there. Our county loves the students. But why they won't? That's why I think it.
And they may, they're not hearing this from Chad Collins, which, they're getting it from 115, so. And the feelings are different. There's superintendents out there that have different feelings than I do. And so they're hearing different things too.
Is there any chance they'll come
Yeah,
out and say?
they've said this is a working document. It's not what I have on paper. I may open it up today, and this one, like I said, was 113 pages. It might be 121. They've changed some things and added some things. So I can't just print this out and stick it in the notebook. This is the latest right now. But next week it might be different.
And there have been
So-
several things that come out and they get
As you
revised,
say,
revised.
And that is to follow CDC guidelines, and the CDC guidelines can be
Yeah.
revised too, so.
You know, I read an article that when Sweden opened back up their school system, they saw no jump in cases whatsoever. None. Just flat as it could be. Which bodes well for us opening back up our school system.
Wonder where they bring
I'm
students
hoping.
to,
Or David States.
like South Carolina, Tennessee.
It varies.
Do they even know what they're doing?
Tennessee is going back to school. They haven't decided yet if they're going to require some things or not. They're still working on their plan. Virginia is something a little different. They're bringing back, don't quote me exactly on this, they're bringing like I want to say K-5 back in phase 1 and then remote and everyone else. And then they're bringing 6-8 in. And then like at Christmas, they're bringing in their high school and things go well. So they're bringing like the grade levels back out of what Virginia's doing. I did see their plan. I don't know if I've seen South Carolina or not.
And I haven't either, but just based on how South Carolina's handled it in general, it's Katie bar the door, everybody get back to work and,
Like Tennessee.
yeah,
Go to the beach.
pretty much.
Yeah, I don't want to lose kids, but I feel like we have a very good school system. I know that we love kids. I know that, and I feel like we could, if they allow us, we can make things work for parents' choices. If they want remote, and they need that help, we can do that. If they want them to be back in school, we can make that work too. We'll definitely put the governor's recommendations, the strong recommendations out there. But yeah, I think we leave them as recommendations. You can make it stricter. I mean, they said we can't go less. We need more strict. But I wouldn't recommend that. I would just put them out and let parents make that choice, not us.
But our teachers, they truly care about
They do.
students, not only education, but their well-being, and they play a huge role in that.
I'm gonna move to second item of that fall sports update. They are allowing, as of, I think, June 15th.
That's
Is that right, John?
Yes.
June 15th, they're allowing 25, athletes at a time to work together. There's guidelines, Travis had to buy or purchase a lot of hand sanitizer. They take temperatures on the field, temperatures different times up there, so they have an athletic trainer working with that. But they are allowing them at least to do some workouts and things. Can't have more than 25. Use hand sanitizer a lot, clean a lot, have to screen a lot. But that will actually tell how some things go. As that, he told me the other day he'd sent his mom the Sally's Beauty Supply to buy those gallon squirt things where you can pour hand sanitizer in.
Do
So
we know definitely that they're going to do football and
we
volleyball?
don't. That's all we know. It's the only thing we know from North Carolina High School Athletic Association is they have opened up for workouts. That's all we know. We don't know if they're allowed sports or allowed band. We don't know any details on that.
And on a sport level, it's really detailed about what they're supposed to do. Our recommendation
I
has
read
been to really turn to your district athletic director needs to be really working closely with the schools that have a local athletic director to work through making sure that each coach knows what the particular, because there's a 5 or 6 page DHHS guidelines for youth sports that came out. Mostly High School Athletic Association said, yeah, that's great. And it's general screening stuff, sanitizing things that are kind of the nature of what we're talking about with return to school too. They're pretty easy to understand. It's not real detailed, but then when you get into a per sport thing, their guidelines are super detailed. It's stuff like if football is the one everybody's looking at, of course, and it is, down to the detail of you're not supposed to have a ball that's going to be passed from one player to another one. And I don't think I've ever seen a football. If anybody holding the football, they're going to pass it to somebody. It's what the thing is made for. I don't know how, that's going to be difficult to implement. It's stuff like you can't make contact with each other, but you can use tackling guns. But it says they're supposed to be sanitized between what? I don't know. They're not, I guess there's going to be a long time between whistles where you go in and, but that's how I think it's going to look to try to get it.
A lot of rules and things that you follow.
Well, that's all wear gloves.
Yeah. Well, and you're encouraged to wear masks while they're not actively participating in it. I don't think anybody expects them to run wind sprints with a mask on, but it's all sort of encouraged.
That's how, anytime they're not actively, how they're.
I'll see how they can wear a mask.
And no whistles.
Right. I mean, you're gonna be out of your wind, bloody.
Well, so when the state championship, there's no whistles.
No whistles, it has to be on the
So this actually is not on as an action item for you all, and I'm sorry, I'm just realizing that. But Chad, my thought about the way that High School Athletic Association, put out their guidance says, we're saying this is how you can do it. We're not saying anybody has to do it. It's a local board and an administration decision. So, I think as long as the board by consensus understands if you're going to go that way and implement the guidelines and get back to practices starting Monday, or, the board, at least by consensus, needs to indicate, yeah, we know we're doing that and we don't have any questions about Chad overseeing it being implemented.
And I think the guidance that we got was, I think this board would agree, we follow the High School Athletic Association's rules. But the guidance we got, that you all can make it more strict than what they have. Is that what you got from that?
Correct.
That we need to approve that, I guess we could approve that we want to follow the High School Athletic Association. Y'all want to do that as a motion out?
We have a motion, we follow the North Carolina High School Athletic Association softball sports guidelines.
Second.
All fair say aye.
Aye.
And the third thing would be, I'd love to have instead of us, having these 3 plans and bringing to you all in July, or sure it will be July, I'd rather have a workshop with you all and let my staff explain to you in detail how we came up with these plans and get your input, because you always see things that we don't see, even if it's, it's 3 or 4 hour workshop one day, just with my staff and you all in this room and helping us. When we get close to not finalizing, but when we get close to finalizing, maybe calling a special call meeting and do a full
Yeah.
workshop.
And I can push things around the year earlier during the day.
And they can stay later too. I mean, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
So I just like to do that. Just be thinking about that. I'm not sure what date that will be yet, but because we're hoping that it gives us a little bit more flexibility on some of these things. Next item P is new school discussion. Brandon and I both sort of leave that. Did have a call from the county manager about a possible joint board meeting to discuss that. Tell you where we're at right now. Right now we have a $15 million grant. I think Mr. Pittman and I were told, I believe it was at the commissioners meeting, or it may have been individually, Brandon, you might help me on this, because I've been told a lot, that the county felt like they could borrow $12 million. Were we told that in a meeting, or was that just individually?
I don't remember the particulars with that.
Well, don't quote me on that. That might have been one commission telling me that, but that wouldn't be enough even with that to build the plans that we have for the school here. I'm very, and it's just my opinion, I'll do whatever the board wants me to do. I'm very firm on sticking to this location. I really like that location now. We've been everywhere else today. I know it's gonna cost, and even if we have to wait on more money, in my opinion, I would rather stick with this location over here and do that. That's up to this board, but I would definitely rather do that. I don't want to go back, we did have a location up here. We went before the commissioners. We were sort of told that's a bad location. I don't want to go to a bad location. So,
But this site gives us room for future development.
Is it still will be 22 million, 22?
well, you don't know prices. Have they come down? Have they went up? We really don't know yet. And this board might want to meet with the architects before we have a joint meeting, or we might want to have a joint meeting with the architects.
Last thing I
So we'll do whatever the pleasure of this board is. I know, when the county manager called me, he expressed interest in doing a joint meeting just to put all options on the table and move it aside. But I would rather go to him if it's the pleasure of this board, and I'd like for it to be unanimous, say, we really want to stick with this side. And that would be my recommendation. I feel like we really need to stick with that.
Where did that other, I heard, it's circulating around, where did that other $8 million come from? It said, people saying it's gonna cost 32 million. Did you hear that?
I heard that for the hearing.
So Chad, personally, I would rather us have the opportunity to meet with architects prior to meeting with the board of commissioners. And then by all means, have the architect available for that joint meeting. But I do feel like we as the school.
Do you want to do that at the July meeting? Do you want to do it before then? Do you want to do the workshop? Do you want to have the architects slash on these plans? Or what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll pause for just one moment to say, that when we voted on that side, accepted that side and started forward, the commissioners were in agreement as well. So that side has been agreed on by both boards.
Yeah.
So I don't see the need to step back.
And we don't go back.
We looked at all of that. We had some concerns from the commissioners with the previous other 2 sites. We were all able to.
Nothing's
Nothing's
changed.
changed there.
Nothing's changed.
I know, so with that being said, I felt unless one of our board members, and just one here, right here, we're all in agreement, continue to move forward to that and look for ways to fund that side, that's the best location. I will ask you this as far as, it may be worth trying to schedule 2 workshops, one for COVID and reopen school, because you look at those 3 plans, that's gonna be a lot of information.
It is.
And then when we start looking at each school, that, so I
Yeah,
think
I
maybe
agree
we're
with that. Let's focus on each issue one at a time.
You will do that both in July. I mean, I think the COVID plans will definitely be July, because we won't know the first of July what the governor's going to put us on anyhow.
would it be, we could look July, that last week of June, first week of July before the 4th, would that be possible to have a conversation with the architects that week? You all be,
We'll reach out to them, yeah.
maybe see if we can schedule something that week before the 4th.
I'll get Kim to give them a call, reach out to them, and let them give us 2 or 3 dates they can be here, and I'll send it out to you all. And, let you choose what works for you. Day meeting,
They can be
or
first.
whenever they can.
I'll do whatever else.
I'll tell you, told me that, I've been right when this pandemic was coming around, I saw Chuck Lyons down there. And I'm a good friend of Chuck, he knew me. I said, when this is coming up, I said, you figure we'll be able to get that school built over there, Chuck? He said, well, Sam, I really don't know. And he said, I've heard that, it's gonna cost another $8 million. I said, you're gonna be kidding. I said, I haven't heard that. He said, yeah, he said, I heard that. He didn't tell me where it came from or anything else. That's where I got mine. I mean, I'm not saying it to razz on anybody, but I heard it from Chuck. And so,
I heard that you heard. That's where I got.
I
said I heard. That's
y'all
where
want
I
to know, my friend, you want to know, where I heard, I'll tell you where Chuck told me. I was just talking to him, not, this was back in, February or when, before that stuff really hit, and the price is gonna, he told me, he said that price.
With all this mess, it may go.
I don't know if there's a need for a possible joint meeting at this time between the two boards.
Okay, do you want me to respond to the county manager that this board wants to meet with the architects, and then we'll contact them about it? Is that okay?
Say that again.
That this board wants to meet with the architects first, and then we'll contact
Yeah.
the commissioners about what we need.
Everybody agree with that?
I'm going to understand and know why I was
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's questions that,
But Brenda,
No need.
Exactly.
Brenda, people say, well, when I tell you something like that, you said that so-and-so said, you say, well, who's so-and-so? And I like to have somebody
Well,
tell
have we ever, is it gonna be 4 through 8? Did we ever decide?
We've not made that.
That's just it. So
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that's gonna be,
We had to
Give us
look at
options.
3-8, and,
or 3.
but that'd be definitely questions y'all can ask.
Well, that would make a difference with.
John, if it's okay, I'll skip item F and let John talk about item G.
Yes, so that's fine. This, and it does relate directly to what you were just talking about. This is not really for approval tonight, it's really just now done. And it does have to do with signing the green property. The process to when you're gonna construct a school property, and if it's gonna be used as collateral, which is every single one I've ever had anything to do with, it's built like a mortgage loan on that, but using that property as the collateral for the loan, you're not enabled to, as a school board by state law, to borrow any money. It's all got to be through the county. So to do that, it's got to be county-owned property, regardless of whether the county started out owning like this or if it was a school site. You're going to rebuild or build onto a school property and use it as collateral. You transfer it to the county so that they can hold it for the purpose of the loan. As you do that, the county leases it back to you, and that's permitted under the loan and everything, to continue to operate it as a school, including acting as the county's agent for construction purposes while it's all going on. So at some point in this process, you will, wherever it winds up being, there will be the county owning it in fee simple, subject to the financing and leasing it back to you all. It seems to me would be a good way to make sure everybody's on the same page to go ahead and do that step of the lease now. There's no reason in terms of the rest of the process to follow that the county could not go ahead and lease it to you. That lease is always going to be subject to the financing that the county needs to do. The bank knows that as they go into it, so it's not like it hurts the county's ability to use it for collateral. So I've drafted one for you to just, if nothing else, as a discussion point. And Mr. Chairman, as I was telling you when I sent it to you, it's the same one that is used all across the state, many, many times a year to accomplish the same sort of a model. So, again, nothing to approve tonight, but I just, as you look to iron out what exactly the common understanding of what's going to happen is, I think a good step to do that would be go ahead and enter into the lease, even if the actual financing is going to take a little bit longer to get into place.
I agree.
Mr. Henry, I believe, you sent an email to myself, Mr. Calhoun. I don't think we've got that published yet.
You don't, and I just finished
more
that.
yet, so.
Correct. I'll get it to
We'll
you.
get that to the board so they can look over that and be considering
And
that.
I'm obviously consider what you are.
Afraid they'll find it. Put a jail.
Item F, I'll move back to that, election in school buildings. Want to ask the pleasure of the board on that. I know it's come up that several counties, because of this, are asking, or officially asking the election board to consider other locations other than school buildings for election. I want to see what the pleasure of this board was.
Is our election board already looking into?
They have been, I know they have been.
They're trying to
Yeah,
find
find
some
some places
locations,
that-
but they're not finding, they're not having a whole lot of success
Success in that.
in doing that. I think that, I wish they had a place to go other than our schools. If they end up having to use their schools, I do think they need to be responsible for cleaning, sanitizing, and all that prior to it, just limited to the space, if we can do that. I just don't know where they're gonna go.
Yeah, and like I say, I know they've already been looking for those to come out and say, okay, we're closing our doors. That may be really challenging for our community. But as Michigan said, to put some guidelines.
You know what other counties are doing on that, John?
So this is coming up everywhere, and everybody in your position is concerned about the use of the school for general public use. There is a statute that lets the Board of Elections require you to use a school. So it's actually, it says schools or any other taxpayer-funded buildings. But, you know, not all of them are set up to have a mass of people in and out of them the way that a school is. So I do think trying to ask, number one, please try not to need our schools for this reason. Two, if they're going to try to reach an agreement with them by which they'll agree to be responsible for cleanup, especially after sanitizing everything, and then to limit, you know, where it's going to be. Most of the time, you try to make that a non-student day anyway, but especially now.
We've got it scheduled as a remote ed.
And I think that's what most districts are doing that are where there's not a better alternative. They're going to make it one of the remote days, and they just know that now. So I think that's a good idea.
You all want John to draft a letter for an agreement on between that?
I'd be happy to. I think we may wind up with doing this for almost all our clients, in which case we'll just do it as we do advisors that we do for everybody, and it's not like it'll be just your expense alone. I'll make sure to add you into that.
Which is a limited space.
Yeah, that's something I'm concerned, that may really make a hardship for the county as far as location, but to have that,
Our citizens to have the opportunity to vote either.
Yeah.
I don't want.
No, that's a big.
That is
piece.
something that's,
Yeah. There's going on, but to have that, please find somewhere, but if not, here's what we
Let's try to find another location.
work as far as sanitation and limited, which for the most part, to my knowledge, whether it be here, Dayton, those two are the most familiar with. It's very limited where the general public enters and whether
They
they,
choose the gym.
yeah, Dayton uses their gym. We use this room here, come in that door as closest. So I think it's part of being able to isolate that to then be able to be cleaned up here in public.
and there might be something that, you know, we've let them use our bathrooms, but not isolated.
Yeah, look at something like that.
The only other large buildings would be churches for that, yeah.
Well, and I think part of the pitch that they're running to is all these places that are voluntarily been letting them have polling sites in them before don't want to do it. So they're gonna have to kind of look at ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And the reason, I put this on the agenda was not, I don't know, where I stick with DPI, like John said, with all the schools this year.
And that's understandable.
We'll move to number 7. You're gonna get a lot of me tonight, so I'll explain when we get, talk about personnel while some of the staff not here. Finance, usually Mr. Young, so bear with me on this. The budget amendments. So these are very general amendments, just starting this cleanup process. He's got the federal, the first one that comes up, then a state and a local. If y'all take a look at those, and if there's any questions about any of those, they're pretty self-explanatory. It's just basically moving money around where he's got extra some funds and then he needs to balance it out in other funds. He's got CTE, as you all aware, those, especially board members that's been on here, you can cash that money in if you have extra at the end, and that's what he's doing. School improvement, he made some changes there. Supportive education is where we had some teachers that were really hourly employees and turned into teaching employees, so that where we are remote ed, so he had to move some money around there. Do you have any questions about any of those 3 policies and budget amendments? You see the local is just the bank fee. He does need approval of those.
We have a motion to approve the 2019-2020 budget.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Item B is the liability fund that we participate in every year with the Workline School Board. It's just the general agreement that we've always done. And Mr. Young asked that you all approve this again next year. John, I could be able to explain this a little bit more. It's just the protection, isn't it, John?
It's essentially, it functions like insurance does, but since you're through the trust, it's not legally insurance, which is best of both worlds. You get to preserve your governmental immunity, but it will cover you and provide a defense for you if you get sued or something. So it's an important thing to maintain.
Any questions about the district errors and omissions general liability fund participation? Have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
And then number C, or letter C, the interim budget resolution for next year is something we have to do this time of year. Right now, we don't know, again, what the budget is, but Kathy can tell you this is due this time every year.
It is, and this is another year we went, first time we went the whole year without budget at all.
I said you approve item C also.
Do we have a motion to approve the interim budget resolution for 2020-2021?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Kevin, before you move on to item A, I'll make a suggestion, recommendation motion that we adjourn for 5 minutes just to give you a stretch your legs, use restroom before we proceed further. Is that nothing dragging out of me, but we'll be in session 5:30. I figure you might need anxious.
Always love recess. Hey, Chad, is there something I don't know about this day? Is this the end times? It feels like we're getting
That's the
close.
license school.
Oh, all right.
Goals are important. Yeah. Check. Yeah.
Brenda got that project.
What are we talking about, Chad? This one, I know.
So we can try that.
You probably get a lot of trouble on it. hoping we're able to keep them.
Appreciate that.
So, I'm keeping everybody on step.
Right.
Right now, Jen's doing
She did a great job.
she's
Smiles all the time.
she's everybody.
So,
See if you can get me to this. Only thing, the last one I got was February. I bet you it just can't come through.
that's all the great Casey right now.
Would you say, I'll go ahead, Huh?
Hey, what's that some stuff that ain't going on crazy?
It is a little crazy, yeah. I don't know if you know that.
Probably down through the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm bringing over the 85% years ago, until we had another election. Why?
Yeah.
See what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so there, there's several bodies running
Okay.
around. I have to prove my luxury. Which is to look. The government says it's a town, so I'm like, anything in the best interest since the health of our county's best interest, but I'm not going to do anything stupid.
That's true.
Finally getting
Yeah.
there. If they do it right, they
You do have a couple extra bodies if you do.
Okay, sounds good.
follow, fail 5 or 6 times.
And I was working with Melanie Finlayson from Track today on Plan A, B, and C for how to visit after school, if that's appropriate. With all kinds of- It's the same. There's nothing.
Not right now.
But Lord,
Instead of you having to turn around.
I think we're gonna get Sarah Beth back. I don't know if you knew her. You know Sarah Beth Post? I think we're gonna get Sarah Beth back because they closed in. They're not- a whole, yeah, I mean, for the winter. It's not just summer. They're not.
That's what they're doing, yeah, shit, they're making me do that.
So Sarah Beth and Melanie, hey, she's been up in Pittsburgh with her,
Wow.
gentleman friend in quarantine, and she said, "Why come back? I don't have anything for you." So, she said, "8 months ago." So that's what Melanie and I were talking about. We're gonna see if we can get Sarah Beth to do our club again. Yeah. And then this is something we're in touch. And she's going out.
Absolutely.
Here. Yeah, when Pelham closes down, it frees up all kinds of town for me. I know, thank you. Thank you for offering. And you're- How much is all they're doing? Yeah. He's real. I didn't see any sign. That's what I was just talking about. Anything in this world. Creates needs professionals for that.
Oh, wait.
Makes people feel like something. I'm almost like boss for one of them. I can't see how it's reading
Yeah.
David, never retired.
I was listening to some on the radio on the way over here.
She had fully decided.
Yeah,
She's still thinking about it.
I knew she was contemplating, but Chris did.
I guess it when I first started.
She had surgery on her neck.
Huh?
She had surgery on her neck.
Oh, she did.
Well.
This or something?
Yeah.
My incredible mother's. More about this at this point than anybody I know who's.
Well, what it does is it makes you great.
She actually feels like she wants to know. She's doing nothing. She called me today and she was like, do you know there's people that still think they're wearing masks for different
Because
reasons?
it looks like.
I know, I mean, yeah, she's crazy. It's just a while.
That's like.
I have a content. No, we should.
And there's a few around there. You can't restrain it. I don't think you can restrain it.
All they know is that whatever you're doing, what's there. And right, you know, in my policy, it actually has some basis. And I'm just having a hard time figuring out. When you're talking about what politicians do. How much of it is trying to manage those two groups of people? I had some accommodation. And so I'll tell you what I forget. I said, I don't want to know what you forget because it doesn't matter. And you don't know. So don't tell me because I don't care. It's just like, it's crazy. And a lot of it is to do great research. So they grab on to it's close to whatever they want to believe. And what it really comes to, they don't want to say one. And right now, I feel like nobody doesn't say that to you, is either delusional or thinks you are.
Yeah. That's why I think nobody.
And I said, love.
Yes, I had that same thought.
You know, that is true.
Awesome.
We still got 4 hours.
You got to shake, but whatever I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about this. I talk about artists and good. What they're always the artists. Management. Is whether they come to downtown or. That's it.
We're responsible for that.
The cabinet. They know they have jobs. Yes. You live in this. So you just try to. That's all I want. It's. It's all that to me. He said it was kind of like a. He hadn't heard as much about it. Because the dude was really big cost. But it makes not the fact that it's.
We'll go there for a minute back to order. There's not much question.
We'll move to number 8, which is only Mr. Hughes. Again, you got me in tonight. EC contracts, Envision. I have O&M, which is PT. physical therapy, and TBI, which is vision and hearing in the speech center, and vocational rehab, which also goes along with PT. Mr. Henning has reviewed all these contracts from Mr. Hughes, and I believe approved all of them, so they're the same as last year, but we always try to send them to Mr. Henning, let him review them, make sure they're
No changes.
all good.
All in good shape.
Anybody have any questions with any of those? We'll go ahead and vote on all, we can go all the way through vote rehab with those eight, item 8A, the EC contracts and vision on the TBI, speech center and vote rehab.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
The next is something that Mr. Hughes worked on with the entire central office team was the money that's coming from the federal government, $430,000. He had like 3 days to get his plan in. If you got it within 3 days, you got the money right away. We get the money today, so.
Wow, that's great.
So he got everything completed in, and we used a lot of that money for lots of these things, PPE supplies, cleaning supplies, also for some software for remote ed if we're in that direction. So we looked at 2 or 3 good programs there. Also hotspots, can do those if we need those. So, and we can modify this plan depending on where we're at, but we wanted to get a plan submitted. So we got to first up on that money, didn't have to wait a month on it, because if we didn't get it in that 3-day time period, we would have to wait a month to get that money. So now we've already got our money, which is a good thing.
Just to clarify, because I was looking through that earlier, did I overlook the dollar amount associated with that?
I think we told you license for me how much was coming down is $430,000. It's probably right. I have that in my email.
I wasn't sure from conversation last week if we knew the exact, whether it would be portioned out or not.
I don't see that right here. It's like 432. I believe.
I think it's 432.
But you don't have to technically approve this one, but if y'all want to, just for Mr. Hughes' sake.
We want to have that on record as approval to do so. So have a motion to approve the CARES application.
So moved.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
And in item 9, Heather asked me to, the co-op they're in, will roll over all bids, same as last year. Just rolling them over to this year, the food, supply, milk, bread, and beverage bids. The beverage was the last she heard from, but she did hear from it. So we've asked the board just to roll over those bids. I didn't put a last one.
So we need to vote on that.
Yeah.
Have a motion to approve those food, supply, milk, bread, and beverage bid rolls.
So moved.
Have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Dean wanted to go ahead, and that was where we were supposed to meet the first month we were out. And they wanted to go ahead and submit their plan since they were ready, at that time. And, you can approve this thing, or if you want to wait until, a month to read it, that's perfectly fine. I don't know if you've had enough time to go through, and I can definitely have Mr. Burchell here if you want time to ask him any questions, or we do our pleasure for it. If you've had time, we'll approve it. If not, we'll wait till July. It's not, we have 6 month leeway on it, so we're good on it.
Have a motion to table or a motion to vote?
I would approve it, I just don't want to not give him, his staff the opportunity that they've worked on, not to present it if they want to,
Okay.
Mr. Calhoun. I mean, I don't have a problem with their plan, it's just, I don't want to not give them,
So
they.
invite them to the July meeting, is that okay?
That's fine. I mean, I'm approving it, I just don't want to not give them an opportunity to read.
That way you can
Yeah,
ask
I'm
them
fine. I
questions.
read it through it.
Yeah. Let's
I
do
don't
it.
have a problem, it's really good, and I don't have any questions.
Don't scare me.
It's also not giving them. an
Well, yeah, they
opportunity
might
to-
just not scared to death.
It's okay.
We're not holding it by voting on how Yes, get an opportunity.
Well, I bet you they don't want to go.
Well, they don't, as long as they know.
And the next thing we have is personnel, and we need to go into closed session.
Have a motion to move the board into closed session for personnel issues. Second,
Second.
all fair say aye.
Uh,